Transformers has been running for over 40 years, across cartoons, comics, films, and every toy aisle on Earth. Through all of it, certain names keep coming back. Here are the most iconic Autobots in franchise history, ranked from the one who defined a role to the one who is the franchise. Let's break this down. Jazz. He was the one who liked Earth. The specific quality that made Jazz distinct from the rest of the original ARC crew when the Generation 1 cartoon introduced him in 1984 was this, where most of the Autobots treated Earth as a mission location and humans as complicating variables. Jazz treated the planet as a cultural discovery, absorbing music, slang, and human social patterns with a genuine enthusiasm that made other Autobots suspect he would probably choose to stay when the time came to return to Cybertron. His Porsche 935 vehicle mode, his cool voice and disposition, and his specific role as the Autobot most fluent in human culture made him the franchise's original bridge character, the Cybertronian who most successfully demonstrated that the Autobots and humanity could actually coexist rather than merely cooperate. In the war for a Cybertron continuity, Jazz occupied a place in Optimus Prime's inner circle before the ARC ever left Cybertron. A trusted lieutenant whose cultural intelligence made him valuable in ways that raw firepower could not replicate. The 2007 live-action film killed him. Megatron tore him apart, and the franchise community's response confirmed something the character's 40-year run had been demonstrating quietly. Jazz had become the Autobot, whose death meant something specific, because he was the one who had chosen to be there. But, if the coolest Autobot on the ARC ranks 9th, wait until you learn about the one who has been killed more times than any other. Ironhide. He has been killed in the franchise a remarkable number of times. Across continuities, a pattern has emerged that has become almost a franchise joke, and also one of its most reliable emotional levers. Ironhide is the veteran warrior whose death is used to establish that the stakes are real. In the 1986 animated film, Ironhide was one of the first major Autobots killed in the shuttle ambush, a sequence that shocked a generation of young viewers by demonstrating that the franchise was willing to kill beloved characters without ceremony. In the 2011 live-action Dark of the Moon, Sentinel Prime's betrayal began with Ironhide being assassinated on a public street. His relationship with Optimus Prime stands as one of the franchise's most consistent emotional through lines. Two Autobots who have been fighting together since before the ARC, whose mutual trust is so complete that Ironhide consistently goes around the chain of command to summon Optimus rather than allow a situation to develop without him. His specific function across every continuity, veteran heavy weapons specialist, old soldier, the one who punches first and asks questions later, is the franchise's definition of a certain kind of Autobot loyalty, not the inspirational kind, but the practical kind that shows up and does the work. But if the old soldier who keeps getting killed and keeps coming back ranks 8th, I wait until you learn about the one who never stops working, Ratchet. He is in every version of the franchise. Ratchet appears as the Autobot medic in every major Transformers continuity without exception, a consistency no other Autobot can claim with the same reliability. G1's Ratchet was the ARC's chief medical officer, present on the ARC's bridge alongside Optimus, Ironhide, Prowl, and Jazz when the Nemesis attacked, one of the foundational 5. Transformers. Animated's Ratchet transformed the character from a supporting function into an emotional center, building an arc around his wartime history with Arcee and the guilt he carried over her memory. Erasure that gave the character the franchise's most sustained tragic backstory. The live-action films gave him a sardonic edge and an ambulance mode that made his field triage function visually literal. Across every continuity, the franchise uses Ratchet for the same structural purpose. He is the Autobot who keeps the others alive, which means he is present at every significant moment in the franchise's history, not because he is the most powerful or the most inspiring, but because someone always needs fixing. The franchise cannot tell its stories without casualties. Ratchet is how it tells those stories while keeping its cast functional enough to continue. But if the medic who has been healing every iteration of the franchise for 40 years ranks 7th, wait until you learn about the one who only has 3 words to say. Grimlock, me. Grimlock say this. The specific quality that made Grimlock the franchise's most beloved non-leader Autobot across 4 decades was that he is simultaneously the Autobot's most powerful warrior and the character most visibly in tension with the institution he nominally serves. His characterization, aggressive, impatient with authority, convinced that strength is the only metric worth respecting, speaking in a simplified first-person construction that the franchise has never been able to fully explain in-universe, made him the G1 cartoon's most distinctive recurring figure after Optimus and Megatron. Before the arc left Cybertron, Grimlock commanded his own commando squad including Ironhide, Coop, and Wheeljack, and was actively plotting to remove Optimus Prime from leadership if he proved unworthy. It was Optimus Prime's specific decision-making on not his speeches but his choices under pressure that eventually convinced Grimlock to follow him. The Age of Extinction film gave him a completely rebooted characterization as a mute primordial Dinobot, but the franchise community's relationship with Grimlock has always been defined by the G1 version, the T-Rex who could talk and chose to say things like, "Me, Grimlock no care about that," while beating a Decepticon through a wall. He is the franchise's proof that a great character does not need to be heroic in the conventional sense. But if the Dinobot King who almost overthrew Optimus Prime ranks 6th, wait until you learn about the Autobot who has been reinvented more radically than any other, Arcee. Her origin comes with one of the franchise's most candidly unusual pieces of lore. The animated film's continuity Bible acknowledges she was constructed as a deliberate attempt to address criticism that the Autobot ranks had no female representation. What the franchise then did with that starting point across 40 years of reinvention is the story of what Arcee actually is in the franchise's history. G1's Arcee was a pink car who served primarily as a caregiver and emotional anchor for the 2005 set cast. Transformers Animated's Arcee had her memory erased by Ratchet during a wartime mission to protect critical security codes, a backstory that reframed the character as someone defined by loss rather than support. Buddy Transformers. Prime turned Arcee into the franchise's most capable frontline fighter in any continuity featuring her, a motorcycle transforming warrior whose arc across 3 seasons represented the most complete character development any female Autobot had received. The 2007 film did not include her. The 2009 Revenge of the Fallen gave her 3 motorcycle Arcees split as separate drones. Rise of the Beast gave her a full characterization, finally. At one point, she was considered a potential bearer of the Matrix of Leadership, the highest office in Autobot society. The franchise never gave it to her, but the 40 years of reinvention that followed the original pink car suggest the franchise kept trying to find out who she actually was. But if the franchise's most radically reinvented character ranks 5th, how can you wait until you learn about the one who is always given leadership and always fails to open the Matrix? Ultra Magnus. He cannot open the Matrix. The specific role Ultra Magnus occupies in the franchise's mythology is this. He is the Autobot who is given authority when Optimus cannot hold it, and who consistently demonstrates through that authority that leadership is not simply a function of rank or competence. In the 1986 animated film, Ultra Magnus received the Matrix of Leadership when Optimus Prime died, and was immediately burdened with the impossible weight of commanding the Autobots against Galvatron, while Unicron hunted the Matrix through space. He could not open it. His death at Galvatron's hands and subsequent resurrection by the Junkians produced one of the film's most honest moments. A leader who knew he was not the right person for the role and said so, and who was proven right when Hot Rod opened the Matrix instead. Transformers Animated made him the Autobot High Council's supreme commander, a figure of institutional authority rather than battlefield leadership, which captured a different truth about the character. He is best at following the rules of command rather than transcending them. After the Beast Wars, Ironhide served as an elder alongside Prowl and Ultra Magnus in the Maximal Imperium. The franchise's quiet acknowledgement that Ultra Magnus is the Autobot the institution always returns to. He is the franchise's most honest portrait of what competent, honorable leadership looks like when separated from the specific destiny the Matrix requires. But if the second in command who always gets the Matrix and cannot open it ranks 4th, Wait until you learn about the one whose opening of the Matrix was the most controversial moment in franchise history. Hot Rod and Optimus Prime. He interfered. That is the specific act the franchise community has debated for 40 years. In the 1986 animated film, Hot Rod's impulsive decision to interfere with Optimus Prime's final battle against Megatron gave a critically wounded Megatron the opening to grab a weapon and shoot Optimus. The wound that led to Optimus Prime's death, and the single most discussed moment in the franchise's history. The specific character portrait the franchise built around this act was precise. A young, reckless, self-confident Autobot who wanted to prove himself and instead proved something he had not intended. His transformation into Optimus Prime when he opened the Matrix against Unicron, the very act Ultra Magnus could not perform, recontextualized the interference not as cowardice or stupidity, but as the specific arc of someone who was not ready for the thing he was destined to become. The franchise community's consistent division around the character has centered on Optimus Prime's tenure as Autobot leader in the post-film G1 cartoon, which was marked by self-doubt and comparison to Optimus, which many viewers read as poor characterization and others read as the franchise's most honest portrait of succession anxiety. What every subsequent continuity has treated as the foundational truth is this: Hot Rod had to become Optimus Prime by opening the Matrix, and becoming Optimus Prime meant spending the rest of his existence being compared to the man who died because of something Hot Rod did before he was ready. But if the Autobot whose arrival changed everything ranks third, wait until you learn about the one who kept the franchise alive by becoming a gorilla. Optimus Primal. He was described as a minor maximal officer of little note commanding the Axelon when he received an alert about a fugitive Predacon ship and led his crew into a pursuit through transwarp space that ended on prehistoric Earth with no way home, no reinforcements. And the specific discovery that the planet they were stranded on was the very Earth whose history they could not afford to change without erasing themselves from existence. Optimus Primal was not Optimus Prime. The distinction was deliberate. The Maximals and Predacons were descendants of the Autobots and Decepticons. Primal, a descendant bearing a name that echoed his ancestors' legacy without claiming it, commanding a team of animal-transforming Maximals in the franchise's most complete reinvention of its own premise. What Primal achieved across Beast Wars' 3 seasons and Beast Machine's subsequent run was the franchise's most sustained character development of any Autobot equivalent leader. A commander whose specific quality was genuine moral reflection rather than inspirational certainty, who took Optimus Prime's spark into his own body to preserve it, who sacrificed himself in Beast Machines' finale to restore Cybertron's techno-organic life force. The franchise community's assessment of Optimus Primal's importance is precise. Beast Wars saved Transformers when the original G1 formula had exhausted itself, and Optimus Primal carried that reinvention on his shoulders. But if the gorilla who kept the franchise alive ranks second, wait until you learn about the one who is the franchise. Bumblebee. He is the one the humans always meet first. The specific function that has made him the franchise's most commercially successful character after Optimus Prime across every era is this. Bumblebee is the Autobot designed to be accessible, the small one, the friendly one, the point of entry for anyone encountering the franchise for the first time. In G1, he was the Autobot most closely bonded with Spike Witwicky, a scout whose compact size and warm personality made him the obvious candidate for missions requiring human cooperation rather than firepower. His arc into Goldbug after being rebuilt following the Hate Plague and his continued presence through the Optimus Prime era made him one of the franchise's most consistent surviving cast members. The live-action film series transformed what Bumblebee meant at a cultural scale. The 2007 film's Yellow Camaro, who communicated through radio clips rather than direct speech, his vocoder crushed by Megatron during the fall of Cybertron, became the franchise's most recognizable non-Optimus image globally, is generating more toy sales and merchandise than any other character in the franchise's history except its leader. His 2018 solo film gave him the most fully realized individual arc any Transformers character had received in the live-action continuity. In the animated continuity, Bumblebee and Wasp were named for their accuracy, or inaccuracy, with stinger weapons. Across 40 years, the franchise has used Bumblebee to answer the same question in every era. If you had to trust one Autobot with introducing humanity to everything that was coming, which one would you choose? The answer has never changed. Optimus Prime. His story begins as Orion Pax, a young dock worker on Cybertron before the war, rebuilt by Alpha Trion into the form that would lead the Autobots for 4 million years. From the Ark's crash on prehistoric Earth through every battle the franchise has ever documented, across every continuity, G1, Beast Wars Pack-In Fiction, the IDW publishing universe, the War for Cybertron trilogy, the live-action film series, Transformers Animated, Transformers Prime. Optimus Prime is the constant. Not always the same character in detail, the War for Cybertron version began as Orion Pax, an archivist who was reluctant to accept leadership and insisted he was not a leader even as the Autobots fought under him. The live-action film version was the franchise's most powerful single interpretation of the character's capacity for both sacrifice and fury. The G1 animated film killed him, and the backlash from children who watched him die on screen was severe enough that it influenced franchise decisions about character mortality for decades afterward. What that death confirmed about the character's function was this: Optimus Prime dying is not simply the loss of a leader, it is the loss of the specific moral architecture the franchise is built around. The idea that power can be exercised with compassion, that leadership is service rather than authority, that the right thing to do is almost always the harder thing to do, and must be done anyway. Every Autobot on this list is defined partly by their relationship to that idea. Optimus Prime is the idea. He will be back. He always comes back. In more than 40 years, the franchise has never found another way to say what it needs to say.